Good evening, and I would like to call the February 24th, 2020 board meeting to order. It is our pleasure to be here tonight here in Lakewood, and we appreciate all of you who have come, all the members in the audience. We thank you for being here tonight. Also to the staff and everyone who prepared to set this all up for us, we really appreciate the hard work that went into that. So thank you very much. And I hope you all appreciated the students that we had that helped to bring us in. So they were wonderful, our little ambassadors. Yep, they were really, introduced themselves, shake their hands, everything. So I know they're not in here, but let them know that we really appreciate it and they did a good job. Okay, now I'm going to introduce the principal, Erin Savage, so that she can give us a few words of welcome and tell us a little bit about your school. Yes. I think it's already on. All you have to do is lift it. Yeah.
It wasn't on. Good evening. Good evening, school board members, district administrators, and community. Welcome to Lakewood High School, home of the mighty Spartans. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the board for allowing us to host this evening's meeting. And I want to let you know that you are always welcome at Lakewood High School. Anytime you want to drop by, please feel free to drop by. In my 5th year as proud principal of Lakewood High School, I am elated to have you here tonight to get a glimpse of why we are proud to be Spartans. We are the gem of the southernmost region of Pinellas County, home to approximately 102 staff members and 960 students. Our rich and diverse school community embraces a mixture of academic success and extracurricular activities that cultivate our small family, making us the best school in the universe. This has been an exciting year for us. I know most high schools are the same, but I like to say we're the school that never sleeps. A few highlights is our award-winning music program. Can we give another round of applause to our school team? Thank you. From our jazz ensemble, marching band, to orchestra, Lakewood certainly has got talent. Our football team went undefeated in the regular season. We fell just a little short, just before state playoffs. However, our boys basketball team, as we speak, they are headed over to Tampa Catholic for the regional semifinal playoffs. So I am keeping my fingers crossed, and I will be texting my assistant principals that are there representing us tonight. Also tonight, we have baseball, track, tennis, and softball going on at various locations in the county. So I am happy to be here with you, but we'll also be texting various members of my Lakewood family to see what's going on with our students. Academically, our scholars are excelling, and the university acceptances, scholarships, and monetary awards have started to roll in for our seniors. So I'm excited about that. Our mantra, Spartan Strong, is imparted daily by our adults and visible throughout our interactions with our students. And tonight's students will undoubtedly prove why we do what we do here at Lakewood. Thank you for coming.
All right, good. Thank you. And we will be hearing and seeing a little bit more too, so it's going to be exciting. All right, this evening's invocation will be given by Pastor Kim Wells from the Lakewood United Church of Christ. And following the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. It will be led by Student Body President Designating Watson, and the national anthem will be sung by 11th grade student John Yesha Thomas. Would you please stand? Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to be here. Our church is just down the street, and we have numerous kids in our church who come here, and they're wonderful. So in the Christian religious tradition, there's a story in our scriptures about people bringing children to Jesus to be blessed. And the disciples kind of try to shoo them away, but Jesus says, no, let the children come to me, for to those belong the realm of God. So as Christians, we add our voice to many religions, cultures, and religious traditions and spiritual paths that place a sacred value upon the lives of children and youth. So let us pray together. We gather this day in gratitude for children and youth. They show us awe and delight, rekindle our love of learning, draw forth our compassion and creativity, and school us in patience and persistence. They are among our greatest teachers as we pursue what it means to be fully human. We give thanks for all who are part of the education system, for parents and families, administrators, custodians, coaches, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, technical and support staff, elected officials, and of course, teachers and students. Together, let us seek in the world around us and the world within us wonder. May we all learn to live in peace on a healthy and thriving planet. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Forgive me.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we've held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched, we're so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. No, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Could Dasani Watson please come up? Dasani Watson. I owe you an apology, and I want you to have your moments of fame. I clicked into the what do we do at a board meeting, and we started the Pledge of Allegiance. So I apologize for not letting you do it. But this is Dasani. She was supposed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. All right. Now, Mr. Jacob Merritt will come and introduce another song that we're going to have this evening.
Yes, thank you. My name is Jacob Merritt. I am one of the music teachers here at Lakewood High School, and you heard us play a little bit already, but the steel band, we're going to play one more tune for you. Most of these students have never played steel band before they come into my class. A few of them did have it in middle school and elementary school, but most of them are brand new to music and to the steel pan. So please call it a pan, not a drum. Steel pan is the correct terminology. But we will play Take On Me by AHA.
Thank you, Mr. Merritt. It's quite a treat to have such talented musicians and give us a little of an island feel for the meeting this evening. Tonight's video has been produced entirely by Lakewood students, and they'll show us a little bit of highlights of what it is to be a Spartan life. So let's take a look.
Welcome to Lakewood High School, home of the Spartans. I'm Jai, a senior in the Center for Advanced Technologies. We are really proud of the improvements here on campus, the most substantial one being over my head. This area links the cafeteria plaza to the hub. Is it a dome or a sunroof? I'm gonna go with dome. Out here we host pep rallies, volunteer work with students, and of course lunch every day. A fresh breath of air and sunshine can go a long way in everyday school life. While we are here, behind this door is the Lakewood Shares Food Pantry and home of the Health Squad. Did you know this is one of the first food pantries in a high school in the Tampa Bay area?
My favorite activity that the Health Squad's involved in is the food pantry because I'm a big part of it. I help do inventory every week. Like, I see all the progress that happens like every week when I restock, and then you see everything that goes, so you can really see that people are actually taking it and that it's helping because you see everyone come back and that it's a big help to everybody.
One of the other things I like about Health Squad is that not only that it's like within the high school, we get to go out to other schools like John Hopkins and Campbell's Park and help kids understand the work endurance of being healthy and being fit.
This year at Lakewood, we did real good on and off the field as a football team. We went 12-1, went to state semis, and we had an overall team GPA of 3.0. So I feel we did real good this season.
Football is important to me because, like Jaden said, it had a big impact on me because I used to play it so much when I was a child. So I just grew into it, and it just keep me on track.
The Health Squad is keeping us fit for life. This entry to the athletic department and gymnasium are looking better than ever. And you heard from Kamari and Jaden on their fantastic football season. Way over there, the outdoor classroom is an important part of AMSET, the Academy for Aquatic Management Systems and Environmental Technologies focuses on practical science application.
Initially, it was because I want to be a marine biologist or something to do with marine in general. And it just seemed like a lot of fun to me. Initially, it was like the classroom and what we do here, and I'm like, I have to be a part of this program.
This is Orange. It's one of our turtles. We have a lot of projects going on that you can always work on and help out with, and there's always new things going on. We have a lot of animals that you can interact with all the time, and you learn on a lot of new responsibilities for caring for them.
Here at Lakewood, the arts are just as important as our sports and academics. The auditorium has received some much-needed improvements, and our performing arts students are enjoying the glow of the spotlight.
Did you know that they have a steel pans group at Lakewood High School that performs around Pinellas County? We also recently had a winter concert that had performances of orchestra, steel pans, guitar, keyboarding, chorus, and I don't know, some other stuff that I can't think about. And I performed with my friend at the winter concert, which I also performed at District Thespian Competition, which the thespians were working on. We got 2 points away from a superior, so it was really exciting.
This year we went to New Orleans for a GEN conference, or a Jazz Educational Network conference, and it was basically an opportunity for us to listen to all sorts of jazz bands from all over the world, really, and we got to learn more about the history and just what it means to be a jazz player. I was also in the marching band, and as a team we were able to accomplish a superior in MPA, which hasn't been done in over 30 years. And I'm very proud of that fact, because when you're in a band, they're your family, and that's an accomplishment for all of us.
Art's important because when going into design or creating something, you need to be able to create it to be not only functional, but actually visually appealing, because most people don't want to work with something that looks like two boxes strapped together thrown at a wall.
The most recent renovation just completed is the Robotics Workshop. Last year, it was just a boring, dull classroom full of relics. Now it's a discovery and production lab for our robotics students as they iterate with high-tech tinkering, programming, and even experiment with autonomy.
So I just kind of took the tools I use just in robotics class every day and applied them to something in real life, and I was able to make something completely out of nothing. So also I've learned a little bit more about the build process, like how failure is pretty much a part of the whole process, and a little bit more on UAS safety.
It's really, really beautiful, honestly. There's like so much space compared to the old classroom, so I'm really looking forward to the lessons we'll be able to learn in here. And I plan on doing like computer engineering, so learning about coding and machine learning really helps.
Once again, we welcome you to Lakewood, and thank you for selecting our school for this special meeting. A special Spartan thank you to the Pinellas School Board for your continued support.
Yep. Have some blossoming reporters. They do as well as any of the reporters we see on TV. So, good job. Very nice job. And that's just scratching the surface of all the things that are here, because they had such a short period of time in which to do it. So now Principal Savage is going to come forward and introduce the students who share some wonderful things that are going on here at Lakewood High School.
Thank you. So tonight we have students from each of our programs, and I'm going to introduce them. First, we have Montrea Griffin from the Athletic Lifestyle Management Academy, which we also call ALMA. And after Montrea, we have Jared Roussan from the same program.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Montrea Griffin. I'm a sophomore in the ALMA program. I'm also a student athletic trainer. I'll be talking to you about my job. My job is pretty easy but hard at the same time. It's easy to, do everything, put everything together, make sure the boys are good. But it's also hard when you see them work so hard and then lose at the end. So I decided to become a student trainer because I like sports. I like football, basketball, all of those other ones. It's pretty interesting. You get to be closer to the football players and the other players, and I also would like to take this experience that I'm doing in the ALMA program to further my career in sports medicine. Yes. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. As you can see, she was talking about the fun part. I have the boring part of the education. So I am Jared Roussan. I'm a senior in the ALMA program. And the ALMA program stands for Athletic Lifestyle and Management Academy. And our main goal is to spread health and awareness throughout our community. So some of the ways we do that is we've set up events inside and outside of our school. We recently had a field day for some of our classmates, and we did a battle of the classes. And then we go outside of schools to other schools such as John Hopkins, Thurgood, or Campbell Park Elementary. At John Hopkins, we taught a PE class and helped them about how to sleep right, eat right, and exercise, and same things at all of the other schools. This program will help anybody who seeks a medical career job. There are 4 classes required: medical skills, health science foundations, anatomy, physiology, and exercise science. All of these classes will give you the necessary information and certifications such as CPR, first aid, and at the end of the 4 classes, if you pass, you get a personal trainer certificate.
If it's okay with the board, in the interest of time, I will go ahead and because they're lined up in the order in which they're going to speak, if you don't mind. Next, we have our Academy for Aquatic Management Systems and Environmental Technology, which is AMSET. We have Logan Courtyard and Jaden Gorency. Next, after that, we have Center for Advanced Technologies, our CAT program. We have Martine Martinez and Casey Miltner. And then last but not least, we have our Center for Journalism and Multimedia, which is CJAM. We have Angel LaCrustra.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Logan Coryell. I'm a junior in the AMSET program. AMSET program is unique in that it allows students for the opportunity to engage on project-based learning in our areas of scientific interest. When I graduate Lakewood, I plan to go to Eckerd College and further my knowledge in marine science and become a marine biologist and not be cooped up in an office and be more hands-on with things. Some things we do in the program, we in our outdoor classroom, like they said in the video, we plant plants called Spartina, and once they're done growing, we go back out into the environment and plant them to help keep the environment from going to
Hello everybody, I'm Jaden Garosing, and I'm a junior in the AMSTEP program as well. One of the things I like about the AMSTEP program is because we're always doing something. There's never a dull moment. Like just last summer, they went down to the Galapagos and they toured around, they saw the turtles. We also had a field trip where we were building domes for endangered species on the beaches to help them raise their eggs. And yeah, when I'm done with AMSTED, I plan on going to a trade school and working on trade. Obviously something like what we do in AMSTED, working out, doing stuff, never, sitting down and doing the same thing over and over again.
Hi, my name is Casey. I'm a junior at Lakewood, and I decided to come to CAT because I had an interest in technology. I just want to say what a great opportunity the CAT program has been for me and my fellow peers. It has some of the best faculty I've ever worked with who show a real passion for teaching students interested in tech. One of my favorite parts about it is that there's a Women in STEM program within CAT, which is really welcoming to any women interested in learning tech. We are home to the very first Esports Club in Pinellas County. Our good friend Tony Tran won 3rd place at the National Smash Tournament with over 1,700 competitors. Now I'll hand it over to my good friend Martine, who will talk a little bit more about the program.
My name is Martine Martinez. I'm a junior at CAT. I live in Seminole, which is quite the drive. You may ask why. There are not many schools where you can learn to code and get industry certifications. Currently, I'm Dell Technician Certified, meaning I can work on pretty much all of your computers, and Inventor Professional Certified. Because of our skills gained, me and Casey both have been able to go to a tech conference in Amalie Arena called Synapse Tech Summit, and we are made it to the finals of a business competition called NGT. We're both net assistants, which we kind of help with the network and keep everything running. I'm in hardware, and Casey's in software, and they're actually working with Alma to make a food pantry app to help them with their food pantry. Overall, this program has allowed us to be not only competitive in the college process and the application process, but beyond. Thank you.
Wow, all right. Hello, my name is Angela Claustra, and I am in the Center for Journalism and Multimedia program here at Lakewood. I'm a senior. I've been part of the program ever since my freshman year, and I joined because I'm really passionate about writing and putting the truth out in the world. Joining the program led me to become the editor-in-chief in the newspaper. Part of my responsibilities as the editor-in-chief is to make sure we're putting out the best possible version of the newspaper out there, such as the one in front of you right now. Oh, there should be one. Read it, it's really good. The main focus of this particular issue was football, since at the time our football team was going undefeated. In addition to producing the award-winning school newspaper, we also maintain our Facebook and Instagram accounts and are also responsible for publishing the school yearbook. It's always busy in our academy. I'm really proud of it. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of the students. If all of the ambassadors that are here, if you all could stand up just so we can thank you tonight for helping us out. And again, thank you for Mr. Merritt for putting together the entertainment for this evening. He was wonderful. Thank you.
Good, thank you, thank you. So you've been able to just kind of give us a little bit of information about it to pique our curiosity about everything that's going on here. So thank you very much. And we do appreciate getting the newspapers on a regular basis. They come to us at the administration building, and they're always very, very well put together and full of information. So good job, good job. Thank you all for coming and sharing. As you can see, there's some wonderful things going on in our southernmost high school. So thank you for being here. All right, we will now move to the introduction of professional and community organization representatives by Isabella Mascareñas, our public information officer.
Good
evening.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Grego, and staff. It is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. With the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, Mike Gandolfo, President. Representing SEIU and the Florida Public Services Union, Talmadge Andrews. Representing ACE, Arts for a Complete Education, is Rondi Hilliso. And finally, Rosemary Wynea, representing PCC PTA. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for being here, as well as those of you that weren't introduced. We appreciate your attendance. All right, board members and Dr. Grego, are there any amendments to the agenda?
There are no amendments to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any items to be pulled? Yep. All right, then we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Okay, we have a motion and a second for the adoption of the agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no, and it passes unanimously. We will now go to special order. We have several proclamations this evening, and the first one is the presentation of the proclamation designating March as Youth Art Month. Dr. Grego?
Yes, Madam Chair, and to the public, March is always such a special month because it not only celebrates you'll see the Youth Art Month, but also the next proclamation that we'll be recognizing is Music in Our Schools Month. And so let's start off with, and we had just a wonderful introduction to this board meeting through the eyes of music too. But I want to introduce Jonathan Ogle, our pre-K through 12 visual arts specialist, to introduce this proclamation.
Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Grego, staff,
I'm honored here today to be present for the presentation of the proclamation of March as Youth Art Month. The National Art Education Association and the Florida Art Education Association promote March as Youth Art Month, also known by our teachers as YAM. This year's national theme is Take a Journey Through Art. During the month of March, Pinellas County Schools celebrate our strong art programs, providing quality instruction to District K through 12 students. The visual arts offer our students ways to solve their visual problems through skillful manipulation of a wide variety of mediums, now including digital tools, as means to express what words cannot say. Each student's unique and personal voice is communicated in the production of their creative artworks during the school year. Pinellas County Schools supports and promotes March is Youth Art Month in many ways, including the following. Our partnership with the Clearwater Arts Alliance on the K through 8 student art exhibition at Creative Pinellas in Largo for the month of March. A reception and award ceremony for students and their families will be held on Sunday, March 8th. The 3+ Dimensions K through 12 exhibition at Gibbs High School in the Grand Theater in St. Petersburg from February 27th through March 8th. There'll be a reception and awards ceremony for those students and their families on Wednesday, March 4th. The Word and Image Elementary Schools N through W art exhibition at the Morian Art Center here in St. Pete from February 28th to April 5th. There will be a reception and award ceremony for those students and their families on March 28th. The Taking Shape exhibition for middle school students at Dunedin Fine Arts Center from March 13th to April 10th. And there will be a reception and award ceremony for those students on March 29th. And finally, the Pinellas Art Education Association, our local art educators organization, promotes Youth Art Month by encouraging visual arts teachers at all our levels to promote Youth Art Month at their schools through creative activities celebrating art during the month of March. Thank you for your time and continual support.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Carr, would you please read the proclamation?
Our proclamation for Youth Art Month. Whereas the study of art leads to a fuller, more meaningful life, and whereas art education provides substantial educational benefits to all elementary, middle, and high school students, and whereas art education develops students' creative potential, improves problem solving and critical thinking skills, and brings to life what students learn in other subjects. And whereas art education teaches sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities, and gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs. And whereas whereas our national leaders have acknowledged the necessity of including arts experiences in all students' education. Now, therefore, the School Board of Pinellas County does hereby recognize March 2020 as Youth Art Month and encourages all residents to support the youth in our community in their intellectual development through artistic endeavors and offer support to our committed art teachers.
Motion to adopt the okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the proclamation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed, say no. It passes unanimously. Thank you. The next presentation is of a proclamation designating March as Music in Our Schools Month. Dr. Grego.
Madam Chair, and as this board and this audience certainly knows that not only our visual arts, but our performing arts are ranked and seen nationally, and I'd like to call on Gene Reynolds, who also is a recognized national music supervisor and is awarded. So thank you for your leadership and making and having our arts program so vibrant.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. It's a great pleasure to be here to talk about Music in Our Schools Month, and a wonderful pleasure to have student musicians with us this evening. You know, I always say this, but there's music in our schools every day, every minute, in every school in Pinellas County, and that's to be celebrated. It's just fun to be able to talk about it in March. But in fact, it happens because of all of you every single day, so I so appreciate it. In the month of March, we do several things. We've got some music performance assessments coming up, and that's just for us a way to look at our programs and see what great things are happening, what more we can do. That'll happen next week for our vocal association, our bands, our orchestras the following week. And I'm real happy to announce that we're going to kick off March February 29th, this Saturday, with our elementary all-county concert. And a big shout out to our entire school district and our partners, because I learned a few days ago that the venue where we're usually at won't work. It's a little scary. It's got 270 families, and our community came together, and guess what? We're going to be at the Mahaffey Theater. So what a great way to kick off. That's folks working together, and a lot of our wonderful staff here, and the Florida Orchestra coming to our rescue, so I can announce that. It's interesting to me that the theme this year is Music Changes Lives, and you don't need me. You can hear the students, you can hear there, and the young man band, that's your family. Music changes lives. You know, kids saying, oh, I wanted two more points and it would have been a superior. Music changes lives. You understand what rigor is, you understand what quality is. That's really important. And a nod to the gentleman who had my job before me, we just lost him this weekend. Music changes lives, mine. You know, he hired me. And the school system here, even if you are a musician, we work together. And we need to celebrate a little bit this school board, this administration, and our community for the referendum, because they get it. They get it, music changes lives. And they get for these students, and it isn't just band, chorus, orchestra, it's steel pan, it's guitar. Mr. Merritt has done this for the entire district, brought kids in, because there's a way for all kids to speak, whether it's visual arts, whether it's performing arts. Thanks to you, it happens. So we're so excited to have Music in Our Schools Month and celebrate in March, really celebrate our music. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Ms. Long, would you please read the proclamation? Thank you.
Music in Our Schools Month. Whereas the study of music contributes to the young people's development through heightened skills in listening, reading, self-expression, and creativity. And whereas music education in the schools includes a broad range of types of music and active musical experiences. And whereas music and the other arts significantly enhances the morale and the quality of the school environment. And whereas it is the stated objective of the public schools to prepare children for a productive role in our society. And whereas the National Association for Music Education has designated March as Music in Our Schools Month, focusing on the theme, Music Changes Lives. Now, therefore, the School Board of Pinellas County does hereby recognize March 2020 as Music in Our Schools Month and endorses this observance as an opportunity to support the purposes and practices of music education and encourages teachers, parents, and students and all citizens to participate.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adopt the proclamation?
Motion.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the proclamation designating March as Music in Our Schools Month. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed, say no. It also passes unanimously. Our next presentation is the proclamation designating March 2nd through the 6th, 2020 as Newspaper in Education Week. Dr. Grego.
Yes, Madam Chair and board members. Newspaper in Education Week is not only a celebration of the written and printed word, but also our partnership with the Tampa Bay Times. And let me also put a plug in for the Lakewood newspaper. I go to many college university campuses, and one of the things I always do is I always read and pick up their newspaper. I can say to you, and I've written a letter to this journalism, is that their newspaper by far is better than the majority of university, and I don't say it in disrespect, just read it yourself. I mean, they do a phenomenal job here. So the Academy of Journalism is truly working here. So I think we have a bright future in the world of journalism. So let me call upon Kevin Hendrick, Associate Superintendent. Also, we have a guest, Piper Castillo, for the Tampa Bay Times newspaper and education. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Grego, Madam Chair, board members, and staff. It's our pleasure to declare Newspaper in Education Week as the first week in March annually. And it is fitting that we're here at Lakewood High School, not only because of the great newspaper, because it's the third stop in our magnet pipeline of journalism, starting at Melrose, continuing at Johns Hopkins, and then continuing on here to Lakewood High School. So I'm happy to have Piper Castillo from the Tampa Bay Times, who's going to share more about our partnership and Newspaper in Education Week.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting us here and for honoring this special program. I'm Piper Castillo. I write the Nightstand column, and I'm in the Clearwater Bureau of the Tampa Bay Times. The Tampa Bay Times newspaper and education program provides informational text to Pinellas County schools in the form of the daily newspaper and award-winning curricula in both print and digital formats these days. The goal of NIE is to build future lifelong readers, productive citizens, and critical thinkers. Newspaper in Education currently serves approximately 510 Pinellas County teachers and more than 152,000 students in 162 schools. The Times newspaper and education program currently provides more than 11,000 print copies of the newspaper and nearly 89,000 electronic licenses each week to schools in Pinellas County. Nearly 4 million copies of the Tampa Bay Times will be used in the classrooms in Pinellas County and homes during this school year at no charge to the district, schools, teachers, or the families. In addition, the Times provides original standards-based curriculum in print and digital for teachers of all subject and grade levels. We are proud, very proud, to partner with Pinellas County Schools. Thank you very much.
All right. Ms. Flowers, would you please read the proclamation?
Certainly. Proclamation, Newspaper in Education Week. Whereas research demonstrates that the best way to help children discover the joy of reading and become lifelong readers is to involve them early and often. And whereas helping a child learn and love to read improves a student's trajectory for success in school and beyond. And whereas research shows that students who learn using the newspaper as an educational resource are more likely to become lifelong readers and informed and engaged citizens. And whereas Newspaper in Education is an international program that encourages the use of the daily newspaper as a living textbook for students from primary through adult education levels. And whereas for more than 40 years, the Tampa Bay Times newspaper and education program has served educators, students, and families by providing classroom newspapers, companion materials, and instructional support. And whereas Newspaper in Education Week is commemorated and celebrated annually during the first full school week in March. Now, therefore, the School Board of Pinellas County does hereby recognize March 2nd through the 6th, 2020, as Newspaper in Education Week, and we encourage all students to read the newspaper, and adults, daily in school and at home to enhance and enrich their lives. Signed this 25th day of February, 2020.
All right. Do we have a motion to adopt?
Move approval.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the proclamation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. It also passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Today in the newspaper also was the information that Mr. Nickens will be retiring and leaving us from over 30 years of working in the newspaper industry, with 5 of those years being at the Miami Herald. And of course, Ed Hooper and others have since retired as well. So I sent him a congratulations on retirement. Sorry, I'm not going to get to jab you a little bit. And but please let him know that he will truly be missed.
I'm going to miss him an awful lot, too.
Well, thank you. All right, the next thing. Okay. Then the next thing, we're going to go in front of the table as we see, recognizing the Pinellas County Schools as a Florida Healthy School District Gold Level Award winner for the 2019 through 21 year. So Dr. Grego will walk around front as you introduce it.
Yeah, this will be for a presentation, and for this presentation, I'd like to call upon Sarah O'Toole and Megan Deal, both of Megan's with the Alliance of Healthy Generation, and Sarah is the Managing Officer of School Health Services. Sarah.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. I am honored to share that Pinellas County Schools has been recognized by the Florida Partnership for Healthy Schools as a gold level Florida Healthy District. This award was created by the Florida Coordinated School Health Partnership to recognize and celebrate districts who are working to improve the physical, mental, and social health of their students and their staff. Currently, only 13 districts in the state are gold level districts. Pinellas County Schools will hold this designation through August of 2021, at which time we most definitely will apply again. It is now my pleasure to introduce Megan Deal, Senior Director, Healthy Schools and Communities Programs with the Alliance for a Healthier Generation.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Grego, and staff. As a member of the Florida Partnership for Healthy Schools, it is my distinct pleasure to present this Gold Award, Florida Healthy School District flag to Pinellas County Schools. The Florida Partnership for Healthy Schools is a grassroots partnership whose members represent organizations such as the Florida Association of District School Superintendents, Action for Healthy Kids Corporation, Florida Chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics, Cancer and Heart Associations, Florida Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs, my organization, the Alliance for a Healthier Generation, Florida PTA, and a number of other statewide professional health organizations. The primary purpose of the partnership is twofold: to inform advocacy for school health issues and recognize excellence among Florida school districts. One way to inform advocacy is through data. You will be happy to know that Florida is rich in youth-related data, such as the Florida Youth Risk Behavior Survey. I'm excited to share with you a few good news trends. The percentage of students who rode with a driver who had been drinking alcohol decreased. Sexual dating violence significantly decreased. Students currently sexually active has decreased. Alcohol and tobacco use among students has decreased, and soda consumption among students has also decreased. Along with the youth vaping epidemic, there is one particular set of indicators you should know and understand, and that is not a positive story. The percentage of students who have seriously considered attempting suicide, made a plan, or attempted suicide is consistently high. I'm sure you will agree this calls for more mental health services, health education, and social and emotional development programs. I know you are all working diligently to provide these for your students and staff. The last important data point I would like to present to you sends a clear message to all of us, and I think this is particularly fitting as we're meeting here in one of our amazing high schools. Over 87% of Florida high school students report that it is important for schools to help students address the problems of today, such as drug abuse, violence, HIV/AIDS, teen pregnancy, and suicide. Scoring as a gold level healthy district indicates that your district is working toward addressing the needs of your students. The most important area assessed in the criteria for becoming a Florida Healthy District is district infrastructure. Your district scored at 91%, kudos. Having a solid district infrastructure in place is the strongest indicator for future sustainability. I'm here to honor your entire district today, but I do want to recognize the staff members who were instrumental in coordinating the enormous task of completing the self-assessment. And when I say enormous, I do truly mean enormous. I'd like to recognize Sarah O'Toole, who spoke earlier, the Managing Officer of School Health Services, as well as Ashley Grimes, the Specialist for Pre-K through 12 Physical Education and Health. Thank you to you both. You all have great resources and visionaries in your district responsible for developing the strong infrastructure. Your district staff are hardworking, forward-thinking, bold, and always at the table when high-quality free resources and services are available. Your district exceeded in several areas of the self-assessment, including health education, healthy school environment, physical education, and health services. The Florida Partnership for Healthy Schools applauds your district for establishing a positive culture and climate and for working toward reducing and eliminating the barriers to learning. And personally, I might add that as a Pinellas County Schools alumnus and a parent of a current Pinellas County Schools student, it gives me really distinct pleasure to be able to provide this award to you this evening. Thank you for remaining at the forefront of ensuring a healthy future for Florida. We look forward to supporting your district with training, tools, and other resources. So I'm honored to present you the flag. We have a flag, we have lots of goodies here, a certificate, and the superintendent with a polo shirt.
Thank you. Board members, I can say to you that whenever we meet as the Association for School District Superintendents, I'm always so proud that we in Pinellas County receive this award. And my colleagues joke with me a little bit, but I tell them we are fitter, we're better, and we're in better shape, and we're healthier. So thank you so much for that recognition. Our next presentation is the recognition of the 2019-20 Outstanding School Volunteers. And to present this, Dr. Brim, who's Director of Strategic Partnerships.
Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Greco and staff, volunteers are vital toward the success of our students and schools. They support our students, teachers, and school staff in a variety of ways. Mentoring students from elementary to high school graduation, tutoring students in core subjects, securing student internships with major corporations, writing grants, and serving as team leaders at our school. The district has over 30,000 volunteers who have committed over 300,000 hours thus far this year. We want to acknowledge and thank our principals, our district administrator over volunteer programs, and of course our community liaisons that work so hard to make sure our volunteers are cleared and placed in our schools. The Outstanding School Volunteer Committee has selected 14 winners based on their contribution, impact, dedication, and activities. Congratulations to our following winners by region in the categories of youth, adult, and seniors. As we call each region, we're going to ask that you remain for your pictures. For Region 1, in our youth category, Sierra Parks from Paul B. Stevens was unable to attend. We have Joseph Pope from Eisenhower Elementary. Alan Cohn from East Lake High School. Congratulations to Region 1. It is. Congratulations again. Region 2, our youth category, Nikki Tron for Belcher Elementary. Oh, the adult is William. Adult is William Chigmelin from Oak Grove Middle School, who is also unable to attend. And our senior is Chloe Harriman from Anona Elementary. Congratulations, Region 2. Our Region 3 winners, the youth is Ella Todd from Bowder Elementary. Adult category is Jody Kent from Oakhurst Elementary. And our senior is Jack Fletcher from Thorogood Marshall Fundamental Middle School. Congratulations, Region 3. Region 4, our youth is Sukoni Mom from Rollins Elementary. The adult is Robin Page from Shore Acres Elementary. And our senior is Mary Jane Reed from St. Petersburg High School. And our final category is workforce development. The adult is Joseph Fritz from Gus Starvos Institute. And our senior is Harry Hickerson from Hickerson from Gus Starvos. Oh, Hedgerson. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, congratulations to all of our winners.
That concludes our presentations. That concludes our presentations. Let me get a Lakewood shirt on.
I bet. This is not midnight. All right, at this time, we will have our speakers who are here to speak to the items that are on the agenda. Now, we spent a lot of time clapping and applauding everyone today. However, when we get to this portion, if you are in support, you know, you're always tempted to clap and let people know. But if you're in support, just, you know, give them a thumbs up, raise your hand, whatever. But at this point, no more applause, all right? And no booing and cheering either. but this, yeah, I did. And so this also will be our time to listen and hear, but we won't respond. We just listen and take the information in, okay? Ms. Simonetti, how many speakers do we have?
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have one speaker this evening for specific agenda items. Mark Clutho will speak to consent 16, 17, 18, and non-consent number 1.
16, 17, okay, thank you. 16, 17. If you were in here, you would.
Mark Lutho, Largo, 716, $3 million. And you say effective and efficient use of resources. Not even close. And then you switch directions on 717. You say learning in a safe environment for $3 million. Not. You don't have a price tag yet for 718, but you say it's an effective and efficient use of resources. Never. 8.1, effective and efficient use of resources. $27,860,000. You just don't even come close to getting it right. You know, what happens with these stupid buildings you do? You know, the proof's in the pudding, as they say. 2019 was hot. 2010s were even hotter. Warmest decade yet. Troubling thaw. The Arctic is entering uncharted territory. The 10 warmest years on record occurred since 1998. Hopes of controlling emissions dim, UN says. Yeah, well, when you keep making these stupid buildings, belching the carbon, correlation. CO2 level highest in human history. 64.9 degrees, balmy Antarctica. Hottest temperature it's ever been. Yeah, and here's the headline. Rising seas, shrinking ice, and soaring temperatures. Again, correlation. That's what happens when you ignore science. And you keep making the same stupid buildings. The same dumb, stupid buildings. Not the high-performance passive solar designs that make for better learning environments that when doing it right could stand up to a Hurricane 5. They're coming.
No other speakers? All right, I'll move to the consent agenda. We have a motion?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And it passes unanimously as well. And now we move to our non-consent. The first item under non-consent is to request approval of the agreement with Rowe Architects Incorporated for the architectural and construction administration services in the amount of $2,120,630 for the new construction and renovation at Tyrone Middle School. project number 9357. Do we have a motion?
I motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
All righty. Dr. Grego?
Chair and school board members, I think you'd remember last Tuesday we had a workshop and we went over a number of different construction projects, and Mr. Herbeck went over and reviewed the 5 goals of our 5-year plan, actually, and Tyrone is one of them. Tyrone is one of those schools that is in this aging infrastructure that we truly are committed to bring back, and like this school and like many others. And so I'm going to ask Mr. Herbeck to just review for the public, and I know we talked a little bit about it during our workshop, and I want them to know that this board conducts workshops, most of the time 5-6 hours of workshops that really dive into the details of these items. But Mr. Herbeck?
Thank you, Dr. Grego, Madam Chair, and school board members and staff. Wasn't ready for that. One of the things with Tyrone Middle School, we're really excited about this project. As you know, it's the home for the Center for Innovation and Digital Learning. But as Dr. Grego said, the project that you have in front of you today does meet the 5 goals of our capital renewal plan. It does provide for a safer environment. It does provide for a high level of maintenance. It also provides for the elimination of some portables. They have 4 portables there right now, and they've had them for an extended period of time, about 10 years at least. But the 2 things that this project really hits on is it does 2 things that we're really excited about. It will enhance the instructional spaces. We're going to be showing you some slides here in a little bit from the architect who is in front of you today, Hoffman Architects. And the slides that you'll see today are mostly from the outside of the building. Those are the exciting things to see. But they're also going to touch every single classroom, every single instructional space, bring it up to modern standards, and really make them, the classrooms, conducive to learning in the Center for Innovation and Digital Learning. The other thing that it does is it renews the older facilities, and that, again, is one of the goals that we had for our plan. Tyrone Middle is one of our oldest middle schools. It has kind of missed some of the renovations in the past, and this gives us an opportunity to really go in and, again, touch those buildings, bring it up to modern standards again for our students and teachers alike. If I could ask Mr. Clark to put up the first slide. And again, we don't have any renderings, any type of slides or pictures of what the inside of the classrooms may look like. But just to give you a general layout, I know it's kind of hard to see. There at the bottom of your screen is 22nd Avenue. That diagonal street there is Tyrone Boulevard, and then the north-south street is 66th Street. That intersection, if any of you have ever gone through that before, has an extremely high level of traffic. There is an extremely high level of presence at that intersection and in that neighborhood. Going back several years, if you can go back to the previous slide, please, where you see the proposed football field and the track at the bottom, and you see some of those buildings there at the bottom, kind of middle center of your screen. That was the old Tyrone Middle School. If you go to the left of the screen along 66th Street was the former Tyrone Elementary School. Some of the buildings that you see there on the left-hand side, and again, it's a little hard with so many screens here tonight, some of those buildings will be saved and renovated. Some of the buildings from the old Tyrone Middle that the school is using right now, such as the gymnasium and the locker room, will also be saved and renovated. But mostly what you see there is those buildings there laying there at the diagonal. Those will be new buildings. Those will be buildings that will replace the finger wings that are in place right now. And that's really kind of the focus of this new campus. So next slide, please. This kind of gives you more of an aerial view. This is from the north now looking south. So you're over there by 66th Street, again, looking south. The building that you see in the bottom right-hand corner will be the home for the Center of Innovation and Digital Learning. It will be the hub of the campus, the media center, computer labs, maker space. Some of the same spaces that our Lakewood High School students spoke about tonight when they were talking about the robotics lab. That type of space will be replicated here for the Tyrone Middle School students. As you go on down along 66th Street, that will be the front office. It's kind of a building there that looks like a gray roof there with cars around it. And then as you go diagonally toward the upper left-hand corner, those will be the classroom spaces You can also kind of make out like a little courtyard there with trees and shrubs in the middle there. That courtyard will surround the existing gym and the new cafeteria. If you go all the way to the upper left-hand corner, you can see a rendering there of some buses. The bus ramp will stay where it currently is. The one good thing is you look there at 66, you'll see kind of a loop, a very long loop there around some trees. That will allow us to put the parent pickup and drop-off line there off of 66th Street using the existing cuts from the old Tyrone Elementary School. And as you can count there, I think there's about 25, 30 cars just in that rendition. We can easily get 45, 50, 60 cars off the street, which is an issue for the school right now, dealing with 22nd Avenue, 66th Street, Tyrone Boulevard. It allows for a much safer and organized parent pickup and drop-off. Next slide, please. This slide, again, is if you go back and you put yourself in that courtyard we talked about a few seconds ago. Here you can see that you're looking to the cafeteria to your left, the Music and Arts Center attached next to the gym there directly in front of you. And next slide. This would be over by the office, that gray building that we talked about a couple seconds ago, looking north. This, again, would be the home of the Center for Innovation and Digital Learning. And again, it's going to become a hub of a campus. There's going to be a lot of activity taking place in there in that building. Next slide. This is if you were hovering above 66th Street, looking to the east, you will see the front of the school. The main office building will be there to the right. You'll see some parking there for guests, parking for some staff members as well. You see the makeup of the car line. The Digital Center for Innovation and Digital Learning is all the way to your left. And then the last slide would be a picture of what it may look like at night, getting ready to have open house, back to school night, getting ready to have maybe a performance of some sort. But again, you get the idea. It kind of really reinvigorates the school, gives it a presence, again, from one of our most highly traveled intersections in Pinellas County. We're really excited about not only the presence it gives, but the opportunity that it's going to give for our teachers and our students to really take those ideas that they teach every day at Tyrone Middle School and be able to do that in a modern environment that suits their needs.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All righty, so we have a motion and a second. Any of the board members want to comment? This is a project that is long overdue, and looks like it'll be a wonderful, wonderful addition when it's finished. So we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement with Rowe Architects Incorporated for architectural and constructional administration services in the amount of $2,120,630 for the new construction and renovation at Tyrone Middle School. Project number 9357. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. And it passes unanimously. Good, thank you. And now we move to request the approval of the agreements with Naviance Incorporated for the 2020 through 2023 school year. Do we have a motion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Grego?
Thank you, Madam Board Chair, and to the audience. Likewise, not only our physical facilities, but we work to improve all aspects of our educational delivery system, and one is that of school counseling and also that of working with our parents and with our families for career guidance counseling or career counseling. So I'm going to call upon Jonathan Blair and Lori Matway to discuss the exciting partnership with Naviance, which is a very high-performing type of programming that I know this board was looked at last Tuesday.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Grego and staff. It is my pleasure to bring the Naviance agreement to you, hopefully for your approval this evening. We've been very excited to have an opportunity to vet many different programs that are out there, platforms that are available for college and career readiness. It is going to allow our students and their families access to state-of-the-art technology. We have Jonathan Blair, who's hanging back here. Come on, Jonathan. Jonathan Blair is our K-12 guidance specialist and really has done the legwork on preparing for this particular agenda item. This is not something that has happened in a short period of time. It's over 6 months and possibly up to 2 years of vetting different products that are out there. So you did get to hear a presentation during board workshop, but we want to share with those that are here as guests this evening a little highlight about what Naviance will bring to our district. Jonathan?
Thank you, Ms. Matway. Madam Chair, Board, Dr. Grego, and staff, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you about this exciting prospect in our district. Naviance is the premier college and career platform around the country, serving about 40% of all high school students across the country. And I want to talk to you just about a few different things, and starting with how we got here. And as Lori mentioned, we had a really rigorous vetting process that included a district leadership team, that included Dr. Grego, Kevin Hendrick, Lori, myself, to take a demo of the program and really dig in and see what it has to offer, and ask some questions of Naviance, and then really take a look at how it aligns to our district strategic plan. That's where I think it gets exciting. As a school counselor, college and career exploration for me is a particular passion, but thinking about our district initiatives such as Bridging the Gap, Pathways to Graduation, Elevating Excellence in our college and career centers, what Naviance can bring to the picture on all of those just elevates it to the next level. In looking at this product with school counselors, they're excited about the opportunity to get an equitable access to all of our students about information that is critical to applying to colleges and whatever your post-secondary plan is. Regardless of whether or not you are a first-generation college-going student, you plan to enter the workforce right away, or if you were wearing a USF onesie your entire life because that's mom's alma mater, this platform has something to speak to the students because it comes from a strength and interest-based platform and tries to build upon what the student's personality, interest, along with their test scores and GPA, how that can lead them to their post-secondary goals. I want to highlight also the increase in I see an increase in parent involvement around this. I think Naviance can help to demystify some of the college-going process for parents that can be a little tricky sometimes, especially for that first one that's going. And I see a lot of nods. Yeah, you've been there, right? By creating some benchmarks year to year that we expect our students to go through and that we will monitor and report on, we are paving a way that is understandable for parents to know what it takes to get to college. And also, this platform matches students to colleges that are based on their strength and their interest by a super match that says, this is a school that might be a safety school for you. This is a school that might be a reach school for you. Taking it to the next level to say, these are students from Lakewood High School that applied to a particular university last year and how they got in with these particular test scores, this particular GPA. So I strongly encourage this motion to move forward here. I want to leave with one little piece of data. They have a lot of different information and research that they've gathered, but they used Gallup to gather research and a particular Harvard study that was on a district about our size, 15 high schools, similar number of students, similar demographic breakdown. They saw a 53% increase in college applications among low-income and minority students within their district. By providing access to that critical college information, we can really, really put together what I see as a game changer in our college and career exploration and a way to achieve our district vision for college, career, and life readiness. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All righty, so we have a motion and a second. Anybody want to speak to it? Okay, you have a question?
I think this is wonderful. I have a daughter who just started college this past year. I have a sophomore. All my years in education, this was a very difficult path as a parent, not only for my daughter, but for the whole family. So I think this is phenomenal. A lot of my friends have children that are getting ready to graduate. I don't know how to guide them, and here I've been through it. So this is really, I think it's going to help every single student in Pinellas County. So thank you for bringing this forward.
As well as all of the time you spent vetting it. We do appreciate that. Anyone else? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement with Naviance Incorporated for the 2020 through 2023 school years. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed, say no. And it passes unanimously. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we'll now go to new business, items introduced by the superintendent.
Yes, Madam Chair and school board members, I want to start out by saying thank you for our communication this past week as we were required to terminate our relationship, or at least contract this year with AMI Kids, and how smoothly that went. And so I do want to recognize AMI for their collaboration and cooperation, but I also want to recognize our own staff, Dr. Hires, Michelle Topping, Christina Fields, who worked tirelessly to contact each and every parent and found a placement for those students, and even did home visits. And sometimes we don't see all of that work behind the scenes. We take a situation that's somewhat challenging and we place a student out in front, and we place a student and say, we're going to solve this, and it could be a Friday late evening, it could be Saturday they were making contacts, Sunday they were making contacts. On Monday we had those students placed. And transportation, I want to thank our entire transportation department, because they had bus routes, and even the parents, I think, were somewhat surprised by saying, you mean you have this ready to go on Monday? And we did. And so that's what has to drive us. And I too wanted to thank the board. I know I was in communication with either myself or Dr. Corbett as we were trying to move this and still maintain communications with you. But thank you. Thank you for understanding, and thank you for supporting our students, and thank you to the staff. This past week also, we were visited by Assistant Secretary Frank Brogan, a former commissioner and superintendent in the state of Florida, and he and Commissioner Corcoran came back. And Mr. Brogan, who I've known for years, said quite simply, he said he asked the commissioner to bring him to a school where he felt like really, truly innovative things were happening, and said, let's go to some schools that we see are lifting themselves up. And we revisited Lakewood Elementary School, and he was thoroughly impressed with that visit. And I want to thank not only a commissioner, but also our Assistant Secretary Frank Brogan for making that visit. I saw there was an article I'll pass along to you about that visit if you didn't receive it yet. I'm sure our communications department will do so. But we really sat and listened to teachers and to students and parents who came in and had some discussions about the school's transformation. So thank you to Ms. Reed and to Stephanie Woodford and to the many people who made those visits. You know, those visits just don't come together, and it's like when someone visits your house, you do have to stop and do things, and you have to keep the school day going too. So we're very proud, and that school is making tremendous progress. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know, the same day, Chancellor Eric Hall wanted to host he's calling the Hope Innovative meeting, and as due to First Lady Cassie DeSantis in the work with mental health, he is traveling throughout the state, and again, I appreciate that they want to come to Pinellas County, but he held two public kind of forums at Largo High School in the Media Center. And the first one was to listen to students, and the second to listen to community leaders and district leaders, all centered around mental health and wellness. We heard some of that today during the school board meeting, and representatives, for example, from Directions for Living, Suncoast Center, Juvenile Welfare Board, PEMS, Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, our agency, and many other agencies provided Mr. Hall with some feedback. His highlight of that forum were the students. I didn't hear them because we just wanted the students with him, but students did a phenomenal job with that. So we're here to serve. We're here to continue to help steer some of the session that's taking place right now, some of the work that's being done with mental health and wellness. In addition to that, today we had a wonderful celebration at Sunken Gardens. I'm going to pass this book down there, but I would like it back because the author signed it, Ms. Gonzalez, Robin Gonzalez. But this was a partnership with Sunken Gardens, and this book will go to every third grader. Bear Creek Elementary School is there, and every Title I school in our district. And every third grader will not only take a field trip there, but also receive one of these books. It was a wonderful event. The mayor, Rick Kreisman, joined me, and we celebrated students, and the students got to visit Sunken Gardens, which is a gem of our community in St. Pete and Pinellas County. And so we appreciate that partnership. It's the Sunken Gardens Forever Foundation that is supporting this effort. We also had 2 seniors this week named as U.S. Presidential Scholars candidates. 2 district seniors have been named into this prestigious award. Jacob Harrison from Largo High School, and I always will work on this name, but it's a wonderful name. Alexander, it's Theophiloporlos, and he's from Tarpon Springs, so it's a great Greek name there that I will continue to work on. But he's a tremendous student and tremendous academic student. They were selected from nearly 3.6 million students expected to graduate across this country in 2020, and only 4,500 students in this nation were chosen. And so to have these 2 selected is quite an honor, and I will continue to have these individuals come to meet this board. Today, and we celebrate next month, is arts and music and arts, but we also, our students recently won 570 awards from the Pinellas County Scholastic Arts Ceremony that was held. And just thank you to Jonathan and many of the teachers are really the key of whether it's our visual arts or performing arts. It's the wonderful teachers that we have that we are able to attract, not only because of the referendum, and not only because of Jonathan and Jeannie, but really, truly, it grows upon one another. Success breeds success. And when a student graduates from a college or university and they're majoring in music and art, when they look at Pinellas County, they say, this would be a district we want to work in because they support the arts. So congratulations to all of our award-winning Scholastic Arts finalists, and for all that they represented us extremely well. In addition, the College Board out of New York City, and we're familiar with the College Board with AP and SAT, but the College Board recognized Boca Ciega High School. They started this recognition a number of years ago when they were trying to promote computer sciences, but specifically they were trying to promote female enrollment into computer sciences. And Boca Ciega High School has earned that College Board AP Computer Science Diversity Award for achieving the high female representation in AP Computer Sciences in Boca Ciega. So congratulations to Boca Ciega. I think if you were there at Clearwater last weekend, you couldn't help avoid the crowd. There were over 2,000 people. Mr. Mastroides is the principal. As you know, we're doing a major renovation of Clearwater High School. He did a simple thing through social media, and he said, any graduate from past years, and we had graduates from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and even from last year, over 2,000 people. I know Mrs. Cook was there, and she couldn't even get into the auditorium. I felt bad, I didn't know she was there. But what a celebration, and they are so excited about their school, and it ranged from 1954, 55, all the way to last year. I want to thank Mr. Mastroides for thinking of that. I don't think he had dreamt that it would be that way. If we had 4 principals there of that school, you could buy a brick. I think we probably sold enough bricks to hopefully pay for that renovation, but there were a lot of people buying T-shirts and bricks. I've not felt such community pride like that in a long time, where everyone just came. Some of our former employees who've since retired, teachers, everyone throughout the community, no matter what their jobs were. So thank you for to Clearwater High School, and we look forward to that complete renovation and that renewal of that school. I want to wrap up by allowing Mr. Herbeck to, we were able to see, and I know some of the board members went into the robotics lab, went to the new gymnasium, went to the foyer, went to the auditorium, and some of the things that are done in this school. But because we're here, I want to also say we're not done yet. And there is a phase 2 of this school, and I want to end my comments by allowing Mr. Herbeck, to just talk a little bit about the Phase 2 of this school before we leave this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Grego, and I do want to apologize to the board and also to Rowe Architects. I think I misspoke earlier and referred to Hoffman working at Tyrone. It's Rowe, as you see on your agenda. Being here at Lakewood, Hoffman Architects is kind of on my mind. They completed Phase 1, and I also want to share with the public and thank Commissioner Ken Welch, a 1981 graduate of Lakewood High School. When we select architects and we select construction management firms, there's a 5-person team that evaluates the people who apply for those jobs, and there's always a citizen member as part of that 5-person team. And Commissioner Welch stepped up and volunteered to serve on that, read a lot of books, sat through a lot of meetings and presentations, and we're happy that last week Hoffman Architects was selected to finish Phase 2 here at Lakewood High School. And hopefully we'll be able to bring that contract to you hopefully sometime in April and get moving on that project. So again, we have some slides that we'd like to share with you, and again, it kind of continues the theme of what we've talked about, really looking at enhancing the existing instructional spaces, providing for a more safe and secure campus as well. And it kind of starts off with that theme where when we look at the campus of Lakewood High School, and here on this presentation you'll see some very good renderings, you'll see some sketches, and you'll see some kind of more block or shape type of schematic designs in front of you as we go through this today. But the first thing we wanted to talk about was the safety in the front of the school. If you did park out in front or came through the front entrance, you probably noticed that there is a drive very, very close to the front of the school. And in fact, some of our students here would be able to share with you, you can walk out of the band room across a little 3-4 foot wide sidewalk and be right into traffic if you're not careful. One of the things we wanted to do was provide for a more safe front of the school, more of a organized access again. And so if you take a look there, and it's a little difficult to see on that slide, but what the proposal is right now, and again, I would like to share that these are all proposals right now. We don't have a contract in place, and there'll probably be some changes in the design phase. But one of the things that we took a look at is the current parking lot out front spans the whole width of the school, all the way from the band room all the way over almost to the Cat building. And as you can see there, right in the middle of this slide, kind of again, bottom center part of the slide, you'll see a little green space there that runs north-south between those two parking lots. What the hope is that we can separate the parking lot, not make it one great big loop. We can move the traffic away from the school a little bit. That front parking lot right now is used mostly by staff, and then next to the school it's used by visitors. And there's been no decision yet right now, but when we split those parking lots, the intention will be that one will be used by staff, one will be used by visitors. It also provides that north-south, I should say, green space in the middle as a very safe pedestrian walkway from the parent drop-off off of 54th for students to be able to be dropped off there, walk down that pedestrian walkway that you see there in green without having to worry about cars cutting through the parking lot in front of them. One thing that you do when you walk out there, and if you did park out there tonight, you'll notice stop signs in the parking lot. And those stop signs are meant so cars stop and let kids pass through. We eliminate that issue with this splitting of the parking lot. And the next slide will show you a better rendition of what that may look like. Here again, you're down by the band room looking west along 54th Avenue South, and you see that green space there running north-south, leads directly to the front of the school. So we are excited about that, providing that new safety feature there. Our next slide, if I remember right, shows a more of a sketch of what the front of the building may look like. Again, you're on the corner there on 54th, looking toward the building. That's the auditorium that you see there. The white feature that you see kind of sketched out there that says Lakewood High School, it's just a feature that we can put on the outside. It kind of really marks the location of the band room. And again, we'll take a look at that. It could be looking like this if that feature is not put on there. One of the things that we thought, if we put the feature on, people might get confused and think that's the front of the school. And so we'll take a look at both. We'll get some input from the school, the kids, the community, and everybody else, and decide which of those two models to go to actually put into the final design. The next slide shows, you see the two circles there. That's the entrance, two entrances to the football field right now and to the athletic complex. The smaller of the two there near the top of the screen, and the top of the screen again is pointing to the west, is the current location of the ticket booth and the entrance for most fans as they get into the stadium. You can tell there's a very narrow distance between the peak of the track and that parking lot there. What we wanted to do is really create, again, providing for the safety of all security of both for our fans and for our athletes, provide a very well-defined entrance to the stadium. So we kind of abandoned that smaller space there and went to the larger of the two red circles, and that's where we're going to put the new entrance to the stadium. That's going to be, at least right now, that's the number one choice. The next slide shows how that entrance will be laid out at a diagonal, and it's really hard to see unless you're sitting right next to a screen over there. But you have a ticket booth in the middle, and then branching out from the ticket booth will be small changing area for like track teams and people like that, soccer maybe, who comes and uses the facility, and then public restrooms. So we will not have portalettes at the games anymore. And then when you get to the farther outside, concession stands. And with that type of design, we can split that, and the home side can have their own, the visitors can have their own side, and it really does, again, provide for a location where their people can spread out and not have so much of a crowd as they're fighting to get that hot dog at halftime. Our next slide will show a sketch of how the visitors now will approach the football stadium. Right now, most of the parking, as you know, is to the east of the school. And visitors going to a football game have to walk around the back of the school, past the tennis courts, and then down the stretch behind the school toward the football field. There's really no markings. The sidewalk is right next to the building. This idea, again, promotes a safer walk into the field. It allows people, again, not to be walking shoulder to shoulder. They have their own personal space. You can see there's a feature that will grant them, Spartan Field, a feature that they will walk under as they enter the field. And you see there to the left a little kind of a split or a little offshoot from the main walkway with a little bench on it. And that's one of the things, as Dr. Grego was talking about, in Clearwater, they're selling bricks. The school could decide to either sell bricks, and we kind of joked after the presentation, with all of the former and current players that this school has in the NFL, might be some competition there to see who has the nicest little plaza. And we'll see if those players bite on that or not. But again, it gives the fans an opportunity, a more relaxed entrance into the stadium, a place to sit and talk, maybe even a place to wait for their child after the game and pick them up and say, congratulate them on the victory. The next slide will show a little bit more of an artist, of a rendition of what that may look like, a little bit, again, away from a sketch. And again, it also matches the feature that we put on the front of the gym, to the lobby of the gym. And again, an entranceway, very well defined, very well marked. Fans know how to get in and out of the stadium. And also, again, provides the restrooms and concession stands for everybody visiting. The next slide, I believe, is we turn our attention over close to here to this building. That's the Cat building that you see circled there, right off of 16th Street South. Our next slide, one of the things that has happened, we want to create a single point of entrance at all of our schools. In all of our schools, we do have defined a single point of entrance. When this school was built, the Cat building also had a point of entrance. And again, it provides confusion to people. They don't know which entrance to enter. So our next slide shows that there is a courtyard that's open to the public. Right now, the public can walk up to the door. They can't get into the door, but they walk up and they bang on the door, and they want office staff to let them in. What we're proposing is that we can put a fence out there closer to that drop-off area, make that a very secure courtyard. It still has egress. We'll put a gate in there. If anything ever changes and we put a second entrance to the school for some reason, we could have that in place as well. but it gives the students a place, an outdoor space where they can go off of that CAT main office area where they can relax, they can obviously sit outside, and again, it's secure, it's marked, and it alleviates some of the confusion that some of our visitors have about which door to go into to get into the school. Our next slide shows a rendition again of some improvements to the Cat Auditorium. Mostly paint. Don't get too caught up in why is there green paint in the home of the black and gold. But again, it's a rendition of what we may do to the auditorium. Again, to bring it up to standards, and one of the things that we'll be looking at as well is to work with Mr. Oyer and the rest of the faculty here in the CAP program to really bring the type of technology they need to be able to use in that auditorium, working with Microsoft and others to make sure that the students have the best equipment they have going forward. And I think we have a couple more slides, if I remember right. This next one is the center courtyard. As you walk through school, there's that big courtyard that's right now is shell and trees. Students use that quite often. We want to really define that and give them a better kind of a situation there than kind of navigating through the shell and the leaves and the trees. So our next slide, again, will show a sketch of the layout of that. Again, you're looking at an east-west sketch there. As you come out of the school all the way to the east, there'll be a big gathering area, again, where students can greet each other after class, between classes, say hello. They are going to be moving along that sidewalk that you see there. And then about in the middle of your screen to the top of that slide, you see a little stage area. One of the things that Mr. Hoffman noticed when he did a visit here, and obviously when they did the previous work here, students mentioned it as well. Our musicians play out at lunch. Our student musicians are out there. They have nowhere to hold stage. And so the idea here is to actually create a stage there where they can play during pep rallies, play during lunch, give students an opportunity to listen to music from their peers and also enjoy a lunch as well. And then the next slide, again, shows, again, an artist's sketch of that proposed new courtyard from the east looking toward the west. Again, really saving the trees, providing vegetation, but providing areas where students can gather to talk. And even if a teacher wants to take them out there during a nice day, they can hold class out there as well. And that was one of the ideas with the stage. You can hold a class out there if a teacher wanted to go outside. And I believe one more? Oh, I'm sorry, there's a couple more. I'm sorry. These are the locker rooms. We're going to go back in and work on the locker rooms. We're not going to change the size of the locker rooms, but one of the things that we've noticed through the years, students don't use showers as much as they have used to after athletic events. They just jump in the car and go home. So one of the things that we're going to do is we'll still provide a couple of showers. We'll reduce them a little bit, but what we can do is we can still provide them what they need, but all the way on the bottom part of that diagram to the left, really hard to see if you're over here, it's a collegiate-style locker room. And what we can do is section off a part of that for both the men's and women's basketball teams here, soccer teams, whoever's going to use that, to have a whiteboard, their own individual lockers, their own place that they can call home, that the coaches can work with them, and it doesn't interfere and get kind of caught up in the PE lockers and everything else that goes on there. And next slide, please. This is the construction timeline. We're expecting about a 23-month construction period, and with construction expected to be finished before the opening of school in the year 2022. And I believe next slide. And that's a little hard to see with the lights on, but again, a rendering of what the school may look like at night if we do put that feature in over the band room. So,
there you go. Very good, thank you.
Civil Savage, because it's always a difficult thing to balance renovation and running a school. And I don't know if she's there. She is. Yeah. So we were through with phase 1, and she's got a little bit of a rest, and now here we go again. So school will be totally transformed when we're finished with this. So thank you. that concludes my comments.
All right, good, thank you. Items introduced by the school board attorney.
I have no report tonight. Thank you, ma'am.
All righty, good, thank you. And school board members, do any of you have items? Okay. We'll start with Dr. Carr.
I just want to, I see some folks are leaving too, but I want to acknowledge the number of principals and assistant principals who've joined us tonight. Being that we have taken this meeting to a different location, there have been a number of folks who took the opportunity to come and be present and be visible and available to the community should the community come and join us during the meeting tonight. So just want to acknowledge those principals and their leadership. I had a wonderful opportunity in the past few days to attend the All Together Now conference held here in St. Petersburg at the University of South Florida. And we had such a gift of having the national president of PTA speak to us. And one element that he shared and the homework he charged us with was to go forward and be a caring, reliable adult. And as I look out into this audience and I see numerous familiar faces, both teachers, administrators, former school counselors, our district level staff, and many mentors, particularly those who were acknowledged this evening for their dedication and devotion as volunteers. It makes me think how fortunate we are that we have so many caring, reliable adults in this community. So I just want to acknowledge you and express gratitude to you for being there for our students. Principal Savage for hosting tonight and taking the time to gather, in addition to running the school, to gather all the individuals tonight to do their presentation and to put together that video is just fantastic. So thank you, and I hope we can move forward and continue to have that mindset of being a reliable, caring adult to the students and community we serve.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Long? We'll come back to him.
Okay, I want to first say thank you to Principal Savage and the two young men that took me on a tour. That CAT program is spectacular. I had no idea you could do so much with a 3D printer. It was amazing. I did get to go back into the gym. I was here during basketball season when Lakewood creamed Dunedin High. Sorry, Dunedin High. But a beautiful gym. It is just a gorgeous, and I was so impressed with the basketball team. That night they had their Mohammed shirts and they showed such support, and you could see the team working together. So tonight I hope they bring home a win. Don't tell Dunedin I said that. Anyway, I also wanted to tell you last Thursday we did the Pinellas Technical College signing day. It is wonderful to see so many young people going out and making a commitment to their future. And Pinellas Technical College is just an incredible place, offering so many opportunities to our young people. I know Miss Flowers and Miss Lentino were there with me. It was quite a morning, wasn't it? So I congratulate the students. They've made a commitment, and I hope they continue and follow through, because what an incredible place the technical college is. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Flowers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also, thank you so very much to everyone who came out tonight, especially the principal. I'm sure she'll be glad when we get off of her property and she can get the school back to the way that she wants it to be. I am really excited about the fact that my colleagues supported, quote unquote, taking the show on the road. Just being able to be closer to people in the community when we're having our meetings, so that for those who may get off but not make it up to Largo in time, they're at least able to attend the meeting. And so I'm really grateful that we are doing this, and I hope that you also see some of the pleasure in being able to get out to the different schools and see the schools and tour them and talk to people in the community from here. So to all of you that made it tonight, thank you so very much. You could have been doing anything else, anywhere else, but you chose to come here, whether you're going to be speaking later or if you came just because we were having the meeting in the community. I want to thank you for that. And I also want to thank, again, the staff that I do see from other schools, as well as representation from the city of St. Pete. I see Leah McCrae back there in the back as well. So thank you all so very much. I just want to also talk about the signing day just for a second. There were over 140 students. I saw Mark Hunt come in a little while ago. There were over 140 students that actually spoke with Mr. Chris Blackwell and the Office of Workforce Innovation about signing day. On that day, we had 104 students actually come, and there were several that actually enrolled that day with the guidance department. Arlie still came out and gave her spiel about the fact that they were there and they were open for business. And also, some people may or may not know, but Pinellas County Schools provides those students with scholarships. So they kind of are the equivalent of a book scholarship, but they're provided with a scholarship so they can receive a certification. And if they desire, go right to work, open their own business. Perhaps they decide to go to college later, but we certainly want them to know that it's not the last choice, but Pinellas Technical College, St. Pete and Clearwater campus can be your first choice. And so I was very excited about attending that event. I do support the Naviance program 110%. If Lori Matway is still here, yes, she's in the back. I want to throw this little caveat in. Sometimes when our students, minority students, are completing assessments or questionnaires, in that assessment or questionnaire, there's nothing that speaks to the cultural relativity of that person. And so as a result of that, it may not pick up that FAMU, Howard University, Bethune-Cookman College would be a better fit for that student because it's looking at the educational qualities and standards. So I'm not sure if there's a cultural component piece kind of wrapped into that, but there are some students. My daughter, she received several offers from a number of top-notch schools, Harvard and others. She chose to go to the University of Central Florida because that's where she felt she best fit. So sometimes when we're looking at processes and processes, it'll give you what lines up parallel to, what it is that you're looking for. But culturally, it may or may not be the best fit for that student culturally. So I'm not knocking Naviance at all. I think this is wonderful. I support it 110%. Woo, way. But I just want to talk about that because we've had some students who've gone off and attended certain universities. They've ended up coming back home and then going to a HBCU because of just the connection sometimes. So I just wanted to throw that out. I'm not trying to put bad water on anybody's parade. I love you all the colleges. I really do. This piece I want to talk about is I am so glad, Superintendent, that Mr. Frank Brogan came back to this community. Because when he came some years ago, the comments that he made were really hurtful. I was there when he made them, and it was hard standing there the whole time he had his conversation. So I am just really excited that they had a chance to come back to this community and see what we're doing in our schools and just see how wonderful the schools are. So I am really glad that they asked to come back and they can see the hard work that everybody, the district, superintendent, school board, teachers, and yes, the students, because the students have to do the work. And the teachers have to push them through and do the teaching and the support staff and all of that. So I just want to say I'm excited. And we welcome them with open arms anytime they want to come back and see the positive work that we're doing in our district. And then the last thing is, y'all know I'm just a political nerd, and so when I saw that Manny Diaz, I like him personally, I've known him for years, but I was so disappointed with the most recent legislation as it relates to expanding the voucher and charter school program. I'm disappointed for a number of reasons, because it will continue to be a hit financially on public schools because they have to get the money from somewhere. And I'm not saying people should not have choice. I support choice 110%. If you feel your child will be better in a certain environment, then that's where they should go, and probably some are. What I am disappointed at is that vouchers were started originally to help those individuals who were economically disadvantaged, and they felt that the students were not learning in the environment in which they're learning. And so to expand the voucher program now with the caveat that individuals who are above, so they will be 260% above what the medium income range is, those individuals will now be able to take advantage of those vouchers. That I have a problem with, because now you're not doing what you claimed this was intended to do. You're now expanding this to individuals who may be able to send their child to a private school and pay for it. So I have heartburn on that. I also have heartburn because we have, when I say we, union members are here today, but also with the school board, we supported increasing teacher salaries. But we also said you need to look at those teachers that are more seasoned that have been here and find a way to level them up as well. And so for them to find the dollars to do this, but not be able to find the dollars for the teacher salaries for those who are more seasoned to lift them up, I have heartburn with that as well. And I know they're looking at $400 to $500 million more dollars in education, but the state of Florida is not a small state. So when you spread that out, that doesn't mean that your district gets all of this money. And so I'm very happy about what we've been able to do as a district, even with what we're doing with enhancing our facilities, because students want to go into a school where they feel good. Just like when we go to work, we want to walk into a building where we feel good about where we are and we have the equipment and technology. So students want to come into that place, and I'm excited about the ability that we have now to do that. But I'm also disappointed that once again, it's just a bombardment of public education. And it makes it hard, it makes it hard because the bill originally started out being something that, I thought was pretty good, but I said it's got to be a catch-22 somewhere in here, and that catch-22 was released. It's moved through, so it'll probably be approved and it'll probably be signed, but I'm just saying for those of you that are in the audience or listening, if you want to have your say, please call Manny Diaz and others and say, don't forget about the teachers who are not the starting teachers, but the in-between teachers. Don't forget about some of the support services that we need. Don't forget about something that we just did for some of our students that are challenging at our Nina Harris School with putting that playground out there for them to be able to have the touchy-feely. Don't forget about those things, because if we don't get funded for it, we've got to find the money somewhere. And whenever we find the money, that means we have to cut a service or reduce a service from somewhere else, and we shouldn't have to do that. When the public school system puts out some of the best and brightest, when you look at even the students that were here tonight, they're some of our best and brightest, and we should be able to continue to support them in that vein. So I know y'all had to listen to my rant and ramble, but that is how I feel about that. And for Lakewood, I wore your shirt tonight. I couldn't find my black one, so I wore the pink one. But I just wanted to make sure, and I'm going to wear a shirt. I'm going to get a shirt for all the other schools as well. But I just want to say again, thank you all so very much for coming. I didn't intend to rain on anyone's parade, but those of us that are in education for advancing the cause of education and for creating or helping to create those citizens of the next generation, I just feel passionately about those couple of issues. So thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful evening, too. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Dudley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two items. I want to, first of all, thank this board and this is Black History Month, and they made available the funds to allow students to take field trips and go to the Holocaust Museum. And I was a chaperone yesterday. I'm going to be another one tomorrow, taking kids, and it was quite an eye-opener. The second floor, for those of you who have been to the Holocaust Museum, the second floor is totally dedicated to Black History Month, and we started out the program on the first floor in a little auditorium, and we had one of the 12 police officers who filed the discrimination lawsuit. There's only one remaining of the 12, and he gave a nice talk and opened up. The kids asked very pointed questions, and then we went from there, went up on the second floor and saw the exhibit on Black history, and it was wonderful. And it's geared to not only St. Petersburg, but also to Tampa, and they had Sarasota in there. So it's kind of an area thing, and it was very, very well presented. And I want to thank this board for, having supplying the funding for those kids to do that. We took a show of hands. In that group, there was about 60 students. And show of hands, how many kids that had been there. And it was probably 15 of the 20, or of the 60. And so reached out to a whole bunch of kids that had never been there. And then the museum is also giving them a voucher to be able to go back at another time. So all in all, it was a great display on the civil rights movement, and is very poignant to this Black History Month. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, as I beat the drum every time, coming toward the end of school, a lot of school activities. A lot of sports are winding down and some are just starting up. We have baseball, softball, track and field, flag football, and lacrosse, which is a brand new sport. And on top of that, all the musicals and the plays that are going on in the schools. Please go out and support those kids. They love performing and doing their sport, and it always makes it a little nicer when there's people there. And I got really pumped up because 2 days ago was the anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, and I've watched that thing now 5 or 6 times and see the enthusiasm and the adrenaline that people get when people take the trouble to show up and cheer them on. And that's all. I just wish if you got something to do, you want to have a good evening, just go and watch them. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, yes, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All of us have had the opportunity to visit a lot of the schools and share some of the wonderful things that are going on. So for the purpose of being expedient this evening, I think what I'm going to do is just thank Principal Savage again for allowing us to be here and opening up your school to all of us. I know it is disruptive, and I also want to thank our staff for all the work they put into preparing this for us. It just seems like all you have to do is put up some chairs and tables, but there's a lot of other work that goes into it as far as making sure, and I will let you applaud, yes. There's some people out there going, oh, yes, that's go. So thank you. And please thank the students. They are wonderful. I'm sure you're very, very proud of them, but they did an excellent job tonight. So we thank them and for their enthusiasm and to be able to hear what they're experiencing in the buildings that we're building for them, because what goes on inside is the important part. So I thank you, and we look forward to coming back and seeing you again sometime. Right now, do we have any board requests?
No, Madam Speaker, I recorded no board requests.
All righty. We will have a brief school evaluation of the meeting after I adjourn and we hear the presentations from people that are here to talk about the business of the district that wasn't necessarily on the agenda. And so what I'm going to do is adjourn it, and then we'll hear the speakers, and then we'll do our evaluation, which is listed as part of our meeting. Again, this is an opportunity for us to come and hear, not for us, for us to listen as you come and hear your concerns or hear your praises, if that's the case, and see what is on your heart. And so we're going to ask that we all listen carefully. And do not be offended if we don't respond, because we are listening. This is not a time for dialogue. It's for us to hear what you have to say. So with that, Ms. Simonetti, how many speakers and
board members and Dr. Grego, we have 19 speakers this evening under general public comments. Our first two are Mrs. Stacy Hughes and Michael Hughes.
Good, thank you. The front, it would be very helpful if you, when your name is called, just kind of come sit in one of the chairs. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. My name is Mrs. Stacy Hughes, and thank you all for coming to Southern Pinellas County. Appreciate that. Tonight I come to you as a post-secondary educator that teaches general education, college-level communication courses, and I see firsthand students that are underprepared for college-level courses. Particularly alarming is the African-American student success rate. Sadly, I see vast differences and gaps in students that graduate from certain Pinellas County schools and programs. In Florida, at public state colleges and universities, when students fail courses, have to retake courses, and exceed the credit hours to graduate, they are charged extremely costly excess credit fees. So again, entering college underprepared has negative consequences. I do applaud the PCSB K-12 teachers for all of their hard work. They too are under pressure and facing challenges in the classroom. But parents and guardians, please pay closer attention to the data. In 2018, the African American FSA reading proficiency at Gibbs High School was 16%, Lakewood High School 20%, Bogosiega had the highest at 27%, and Azalea Middle was at 12%. The African American graduation rates are increasing. However, look closer because that is not a reflection of the reading proficiency rate. At the May 2019 St. Pete College board meeting, a board trustee publicly stated students are not coming from public Pinellas County schools prepared. College does not remediate. They are trained to take a test and pass a test to graduate or get a certificate of attendance, not prepared to pass college level courses. And you can find that meeting online. Yes, all African American students may choose not to attend college, which is fine, but how can they function as productive, independent citizens, earn certifications, and earn a decent income if they're not reading proficient? Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Michael Hughes. I am a past law enforcement officer. Currently, I'm a college professor at St. Petersburg College, where I'm the chair of the criminal justice program. Some things I want to talk about are pretty much, as always, your wife should take the lead. So she said most of what I was going to say. But some things that I would like to reiterate is that I work with a lot of students that are freshmen, brand new into college, and I do see that there's a problem with a lot of the students being able to be successful because of their inability to read with comprehension. Their writing abilities are not there. A lot of the students, once in being involved in a mentoring program for black males at St. Petersburg College, I get a chance to talk to them, to ask them what schools they attended. Primarily, the ones that are showing the most problems are the ones that attended South County schools. So when I see this firsthand, and when we're in a situation where we have students that are in classes that are 8 weeks long and they come in behind the mark, so to speak, it takes a long time to get them up to par. And what we're talking about now, we're not talking about them not being able just to pass a class, but they're trying to get an education so that they can go on and take care of themselves and take care of their families and take care of their responsibilities. So I think we need to take a much harder look at what we're doing from the school's perspective on making sure that these young people are prepared to go out, not only just to go to college, but to have the ability to read with comprehension when they sit down to do anything, to apply for a job, or some of these folks will go into various kinds of trades. I really want someone who's coming to work that will be doing some work that involving me, that they are able to read the instructions and do it properly and feel assured about that. So I'm coming to just express that we have a concern. I don't know how this can be repaired, but I do think there needs to be a collaborative effort put forth to address these issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next two speakers are James Wardell and Charles Montana.
As to what the Hugheses were saying, I have one suggestion to see if you guys have even thought of this. Have we thought of going to some of the Divine Nine with their mentoring programs, or men of yesterday, today, and the future that are vested in the community, trying to work with to bridge this reading gap that we have?
Charles Montana present? Our next two speakers are Renata Happel and Lee Bryant.
Sorry, I'm a high school student, so I love a good handout. So hi, my name is Renata Happel. You may recognize my face because I've spoken at a few of these, and you may recognize my name because I was just published in the Tampa Bay Times on my article about my safe-sex pizza party that I just hosted in November. So in response to lackluster sex education, many people believe that this sex education that we have in our public schools is sufficient, but as a student, I don't think it is. It's abstinence plus, and it doesn't encompass comprehensive education that we need that encompasses sexualities, talks comprehensively about sexually transmitted diseases and infections, and consent conversations. So I threw this safe sex pizza party because I saw among my peers that we just didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what herpes was, besides the fact that it was the kissing disease. And people were getting, normalizing, well, it is very normal, but they thought everyone did have herpes. Many of my friends went into long-term relationships with chlamydia after having unprotected sex, and in turn, don't know the effects that we'll have on their fertility, which is very, very scary. So I had this party at Black Crow on Grand Central last November from 6 to 9 p.m. on a Sunday, and we had 5 wonderful speakers and over 100 teenagers, parents, university students come out and show their support. And I think it shows how much the youth of St. Petersburg need sex education to match the time in which we live. So I handed you a copy of my article and a poster for my next Safe Sex Pizza Party. So after my article came out, I was contacted by many national news organizations, and so the spotlight is on my party, but I think most importantly the spotlight is on you guys and how you respond to the call to action that this is. So if you are available on March 29th from 6 to 9 p.m., I would love it if you guys would come to my party. There will be pizza, it will be free. Don't have to worry about that. So I just think that I do not represent accurately the county or my friends or the people that really, really need this sex ed. And so I feel like at the party we'll have, you will see your constituents and what they need and what they want. And I think that the turnout will show how much this is needed for our schools. So thank you so much. Have a nice night.
Good evening, Chair Cook, members of the board, Dr. Grego and staff. My name is Lee Bryant, and in spite of my very nice red shirt, which Dr. Carr pointed out earlier, I'm speaking on behalf of myself tonight. As we speak, not very far from here, they're finishing up a memorial service for Cecil Byron Cheek, Professor Emeritus of St. Petersburg College. Cecil passed away on February the 18th at the age of 84. Cecil was born in Tampa in 1935, graduating from Hillsborough High School in 1954. He attended Florida State University, where he earned his MS, his BS and his MS in psychology, and met the love of his life, Joanne. He was professor of psychology at SPC and St. Pete College for 46 years, from 1960 to 2006. He was named Professor Emeritus in 2012. That's an amazing amount of time. He touched so many lives. Cecil is survived by his beautiful wife of 62 years, Joanne Cheek. She was an art teacher in Pinellas County for 22 years. He is predeceased by his son, Tom Cheek, a friend of mine, an English teacher in Pinellas County for 5 years, survived by his daughter-in-law, Gabby, and their grandchildren, Jack and Connor, in Columbus, Indiana. He's also survived by Mike Cheek, his wife, Rika, with their grandchildren, Juliana, Anna Maria, and Cecilia in Budapest, Hungary, survived by Jennifer Cheek Trewin, an art and social studies teacher at St. Pete High School for the last 20 years, And her husband, Scott Trewin, a math teacher who was at St. Pete High and is currently at Northeast High School, he's been teaching for 18 years in our county. With their children, Taylor and Ivy. He's survived by his sister, Linda Stewart, and his nephew, Robert Stewart. And he's survived by the thousands and thousands of students whose lives he impacted in his decades of teaching. Cecil loved Florida State. He loved Bucks football, World War II history, building model airplanes, collecting vintage scale planes and cars, running, teaching psychology, and the theater. He performed in many productions at St. Pete Little Theater and was the president of Little Theater for 4 years. Loved by many, his warmth, humor, and wit are carried forward by the many, many lives he touched. With love to his family, his friends, and his students, I remember Professor Cecil Cheek. Rest in peace.
Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Nancy Velarde and Ben Loyacano.
Good evening. I'm pleased to report that since the last evening board meeting, the Human and Civil Rights Committee has met with the district and had a very productive, open, and honest discussion about how to proceed with the issue of discipline in our schools. I have faith that this partnership will benefit all parties by achieving our mutual goals of providing safe, equitable, and restorative environments for our students. That said, we also agreed that the success of these programs relies heavily on a complete culture shift, which must occur at all levels of our system. Unfortunately, we are not seeing such evidence of this occurring in our schools between our administrators and our teachers and support staff. Teachers are being dragged to OPS without being told why. Once they are there, they are blindsided by accusations that they are ill-prepared to respond to or defend. At some sites, they're being asked to forego representation during formal discussions. They're being strongly coerced to take trainings that are not related to their DPPs with no conversation or explanation. They're being punished with non-collaborative success plans for being victimized by the violent actions of their students. And brand new teachers are being non-renewed with no explanation as to why, with no discussion or mentoring given to possibly correct the small weaknesses in the classroom. Just because an ugly law has been made and made this an option, basic human rights should never be denied, especially in a democratic institution like public education. In this continuing era of a severe teacher shortage, it only makes sense to groom and help support young teachers to expand their potential to be great educators instead of tossing them away. We are fully aware of the demands of the state, but the pressure placed on administrators to get their data points up has caused an unpleasant frenzy of tension and fear that permeates our schools. True innovation and creative teaching cannot occur in this miasmic environment, inadvertently making it more difficult to reach our mutual goals. Our students are not oblivious to this tension, and I'm sure it's having a detrimental effect on their studies. Fear is diametrically opposed to love, and love is the primal force that allows education to be successful. Love of learning, love of exploration, love of curiosity fulfilled. We ask that restorative practice take a top-down approach, applied equally to all levels of employment. Compassion and fully developed relationships are not only for inside the classroom, but in the offices and the hallways of our buildings as well. Our hardworking administrators, teachers, support staff, and students deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, first, from what I've seen tonight, our youth in Pinellas County is in good hands. I'm here to speak on the Klosterman property. As a former school board member for 12 years in the large New York State school district, I'm quite aware of the difficult and important decisions board members have to make. We've always considered the well-being of the community and our constituents in making those decisions, and I'm certain it's going to be so here too. I've been a resident of Tarpon Springs for 18 years, and in that time, I've seen many farms, forests, and citrus groves be subject to the acts of construction and destruction. We now have the opportunity to save some pristine, beautiful property that's bordering on Palm Harbor. It's at the end of Klosterman. It's connected to state lands, and the community is really asking that you really consider what the disposition of that property would be in benefit for the community. And that's our wish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Tracy McConnell and Dave Silman.
My name is Tracy McConnell, and I teach second grade at Pinellas Central Elementary. I never thought I was meant to be a teacher. I actually finished college, and then a friend talked me into volunteering in a second grade classroom at Blanton Elementary for junior achievement. I was instantly hooked. I went home that day and I told my husband I needed to go back to college to teach, and that's exactly what I did. I was hired as a third grade teacher at Pinellas Central in 2004 and have been there ever since. I love teaching students. I love that I can get kids who can't read reading. I know that I make a difference. As much as I know that I make a difference, I also know there is a teacher shortage. Everyone thinks this is because of low wages, which that is a part of it, and let's face it, who doesn't need more money? But people still quit high-paying jobs every day. When I go to trainings, I hear teachers talk about behavior at their school and how they don't get support from their administration. Sometimes the complaints will even include that they are being threatened or attacked by students. At the last school board meeting, I heard other educators and community members talk about their behavior concerns. This year, I have seen this firsthand. Some of the student behaviors at Pinellas Central are so severe that students and teachers are not safe. We have students threatening to stab other kids in the bathroom, tossing desks and chairs across the classroom, breaking tempered glass windows, running in and out of other classrooms, making learning impossible for the students around them, and hitting their classroom teachers. One classroom at our school is already on their third teacher, while another teacher is on leave for PTSD from a student's violent behavior. That teacher just resigned today. There have been 6 intent to remove forms filled out this year at Pinellas Central Elementary. Many times, the aggressive student is removed for 10 minutes or so and then returned right back to the classroom. I often wonder if parents know what they are exposing their kids to when they send them to school in the morning. I believe that this is truly a dangerous situation. This is not a question of will someone get hurt, but when will they get hurt. These students are crying out for help, but their pleas fall on deaf ears. Pinellas County Schools is failing everyone involved. We are not getting the support needed for the aggressive students, and we are not helping protect the other students and teachers. I am sure any teacher at Pinellas Central or any other school, thank you.
Written, if you'd like to give that to Ms. Simonetti, she'll make sure that we see the rest of your
I
statement.
just have like 2 more sentences, if that would be okay. Pinellas County Schools is failing everyone involved. We are not getting the support needed for the aggressive students, and we are not helping protect the other students and teachers. I am sure any teacher at Pinellas Central or any other school with behavior concerns would love to have any of you visit their school. If you want to keep teachers, please support us.
Good evening, folks. My name is Dave Silman. I'm down from Tarpon Springs as well, and here to talk about the parcel for sale on Klosterman Road in Tarpon, also to express my interest in preserving that property. I know that many of you have probably gotten calls and emails this week about that property, and may be aware that we are currently working on a proposal amongst our neighbors and the community at large to purchase the property ourselves. We'd like an opportunity to purchase it with the aim to donate it to the county, to formally annex it to the adjoining preserve, the Mariners Point management area that exists there now. I do own a home in the neighborhood. I'm aware of the detrimental effects that multifamily development would have there, but actually I just came tonight to express why this is important to me, and it's really at the other end of the spectrum. It's really the larger environmental impacts it would have. The United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is renowned to be one of the, if not the, prime experts on climate change in the world. They're a body of about 100 to 150 scientists from around the world. They aggregate all the published science in the world, and they rigorously peer review it, and every 5 years or so they publish an exhaustive report on the latest status of this great science experiment we are conducting on our biosphere. They've published about 5 reports to date over the last few decades. They have a track record for accuracy. Their projections have borne out. They have a track record for being ever more certain about the man-caused nature of this. They're well above 90% certain it's man-caused. And they also have a reputation for being extremely conservative. When projections have missed the mark, they've been conservative. In 2018, 2 years ago, this incredibly conservative body put out a special report saying, we got 12 years. We have 12 years to cut our emissions in half and to prevent this situation getting away from us and beyond our control to fix it. We cannot contribute to this problem. We must be a part of the solution here. This is about our kids first and foremost. The great news is that we have an opportunity here not only to preserve this unspoiled property which currently sequesters CO2 and provides a host of ecological services that have real economic value as well. We have an opportunity to avoid the additional pollution that would come from putting 100 townhomes in this property. But our proposal is going to include an adjunct idea that I am incredibly excited about. It's an outside-the-box idea. Suffice it to say, this idea will allow us to leverage this transaction into an enormous win for the environment as well as for the community at large, for the local economy, and for the bottom line of the school system. So I look forward to being able to share that. Thank you.
And well,
once Habitat's gone,
we're
it's
not
gone
going to get
forever.
in. No, excuse me, we're not going to get into this. I would hope that you will be keeping Mr. Herbig up to date with all of this conversation. There you go. Okay, good. Thank you. Our next 2 speakers.
Our next 2 speakers are Rodney Russ and Mark Clutho.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Russ. I've been a teacher for nearly 9 years with the district. Currently I'm a teacher at Distant Academy. I teach 7th through 9th grade English. I just want to address concerns about climate as well as our leadership. So I think we have a really solid group of teachers. I worked in the district for a while. We have a very experienced staff of veteran teachers who are very committed to the students. And we serve a very difficult population of students. And I think the graduation rate is about 48%. So we work very diligently daily to make sure that those students have what they need, that we encourage those students to come to school daily and to strive for success. However, there's concerns that we have with our leadership in terms of teachers being retaliated against through evaluations, teachers being yelled at in the hallways, meetings going over the allocated time, just violations of our contract daily. So we want to just address those concerns and understand that there's a lot of potential at Distant Academy, a lot of growth as a school, and that's a population that really needs that. they really need that care and concern, as well as some innovative ideas to get them moving in the right direction. I think that we definitely have to start thinking about a commitment to strong leadership in those types of schools, because it can't be a place where we just send kids that we don't necessarily feel that they can pass the FSA or they're going to keep our scores down. So I think we have to have leadership in place that's willing to address that and also support the teachers there, because we have a really strong staff, and we want to make sure that we maintain that staff because students have bonded with those teachers. And I think last year, there was a non-renewal of 4 teachers from what I'm hearing. And I think that we need to make sure that teachers are respected and treated with dignity, and their evaluations are not being used as a way to retaliate against them for speaking out about certain things or standing up for their students. So that's just things I wanted to address and make sure that we understand that there's a lot of potential there at Distant Academy, and that's an area that we can't lose because we serve almost 150 students, mostly African American males, a demographic that definitely needs support, and we need to make sure that we're committed to helping them, because many of those kids come from this neighborhood here, and there's not a lot of opportunities for them, and they don't necessarily feel supported. They need to make sure that we find ways to do so. That's all I wanted to address today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Clutho, Largo. 2 headlines that I didn't address. Bird emergency, 2/3 at risk. That means extinction. And then we have this headline here. UN report warns that humans are threatening their own futures by accelerating the extinction of over 1 million species. Well, what I saw earlier was a demonstration of pure evil. That school plan, glass down to the ground, allowing for direct solar gain. I didn't need to see the plans. I knew what was coming. You don't do that in a climate such as this. That's why these headlines exist. But then people drinking from bottles of water that take more water to make than they hold. I don't expect you to make rational decisions. It's simply pure evil what's happening here. Here's a column from David Brooks, who I don't ever agree with. This is how Scandinavia got great. Almost everybody admires the Nordic model. Countries like Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Finland have high economic productivity, high social equality, high social trust, and high levels of personal happiness. The 19th century Nordic elites did something we haven't been able to do in this country recently. They realized that if their countries were to prosper, they had to create a truly successful folk school for the least educated among them. They realized they were going to have to make lifelong learning a part of the natural fabric of society. They look to education differently than we do. The German word they used to describe their approach, Bildung, doesn't even have an English equivalent. It means the complete moral, emotional, and intellectual and civic transformation of the person. You don't even come close. What you do is you destroy the children's future. Destroy the planet. Malfeasance is the word.
Speakers are Mike Gandolfo and Corey Ocker.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. If we spend our time complying with a state that forces us to measure and weigh every element of a child's education, we deprive our children of the gift of becoming lifelong learners. I thank the district for choosing to work with PCTA on Restorative Practice Initiative and for appointing our executive director to the Equity Task Force. If we are to succeed, it will come from working together. These initiatives are based on relationships, and everyone knows that children respond when they know you care. Solve the discipline problem and the scores will rise. However, we must attack the causes, not just react to the symptoms. What is it that makes a child act out and disrupt the learning environment of a classroom? Certainly, not all students come to school with the same advantages. However, the school building needs to be that safe place for all students, the place where no child skips a meal, a place where parents have access to resources to help their child succeed, a place where we all feel valued and loved. Learning is fun when a child is made to feel they can succeed. We should meet a child where they are academically without fear of being penalized for not teaching with sufficient rigor or in step with a pacing guide. Early childhood is where we teach students how to share, how to be kind to each other, how to respect and interact with others. Teaching these social skills sets them up for a successful future. Gaps will be bridged when we arm students with a love of learning. Testing is no substitute for instruction. Standardized testing produces distributions in which children born to affluent and educated families will inevitably come out winners, while children without those advantages will be punished for being poor or for having parents that may not read English. Schools need to be a place where kids read full novels and develop a love of reading. Reading passages for the purpose of bubbling in a test paper does nothing to enhance a love of learning, of reading. Every kid that acts out has a reason why they do so. Schools that have been unfairly labeled as struggling do not need longer days. They do not need to be crushed with assessment and rigor. They need personalized attention that comes from a caring adult that is in control of a classroom. They need smaller class sizes. It's how we ensure that our most vulnerable children are in a safe and caring environment. Teachers that can produce improvements in student behavior and non-cognitive skills will better prepare children for a successful life than those who simply improve test scores. If we want to keep our schools from state takeover and charters, this is not the time to be thinking about cutting our instructional workforce. We need more teachers and smaller classes, not less teachers and larger classes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So my name's Corey Ocker. My wife and I live in Crescent Lake neighborhood. So we have the Woodlawn School District is our elementary school. We have a 2-year-old boy and we have a girl due in April. There's currently 500 households in Crescent Lake. 3 send their kids to Woodlawn. The performance of the school is so bad at this point that everyone either chooses to use the lottery or go to private school instead because they don't want to send their kids there. And that, as the age of the population in our area continues to get younger, that's not going to change. It's only going to get worse. So what's the cost of that to the district? What's the cost of having a school where we're burdening the lottery system by sending hundreds of kids into it that could potentially be going to the local school that's right there? What's the burden of having a school that's not actually using the population that it needs to, that could fit more students whenever you can't find the students who attract to attend the school? So it's not that Woodlawn's the worst school in the district or anything. It's that it's not the best either. We're in the middle. We're ignored. We're not the squeaky wheel, so we're not getting any grease, right? So a lot of the schools that we have in the district, they rotate through leadership even every couple of years. We've had the same leadership for 6 years. Whenever things aren't a problem, doesn't change. We've been a C school for 4 years straight now. We've had our neighborhood and neighborhoods around us have tried to engage. We've done different programs to try to be involved in the school, but it seems like there's not reception from leadership for us to do that. We don't have students there, so the answer is, you're not our problem. You're just annoying me whenever you're trying to contact me because you're not one of my students' parents. One thing, so I've sent an email to try to do a tour, to try to volunteer. I've called. I didn't get an email back, so I called. I was told, well, let me look into it and I'll call you back. I've never gotten a phone call. I've never known it was so hard to volunteer for something before. And this isn't just me, right? This is things that we've had for a lot of other people in our community have run into as well. The community is trying to engage. You know, we want to make this a better school. We want to build on it, but we're getting nowhere on our own. And so if we can, you know, something needs to change, because if it doesn't change, then what's going to happen is nothing. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Mandy Newman and William Carter.
Hello, I'm Mandy Newman. I'm probably going to hit on a few of the points that Corey just made. I live in the Woodlawn neighborhood, so obviously we're zoned for Woodlawn School District. I have a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and another one on the way. So obviously I'm very concerned with the school system. I mentored through the Lunch Pals program at Woodlawn about a year ago. I saw firsthand some of the behavioral issues, how severe they are, the poor academics, and the safety issues, among others. At one point, one of the teachers even seemed too scared to discipline the children there because their behavior was just so out of control. The school's been rated poorly for a long time and nothing's being done about it. And as Corey said, this results in entire neighborhoods of people not sending their children to the neighborhood school. I think that there are 7 households in Woodlawn that send their children there. Something needs to be done. Leadership needs to work with the community to make this school somewhere people want to send their children. I fear that I'll face the possibility of having to move out of St. Pete in the near future and opt for a better school district if nothing is done. We're not going to pay for private school, and the lottery system is almost not an option anymore either. No one's getting into it anymore. To me, a good school not only has good academics, but is safe, well-rounded, and diverse. I think this is a possibility for Woodlawn Elementary with the right support from leadership, community support, and the right changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, honorable school board members, Dr. Grego, excuse me, I live in Tarpon Springs, we say Greco. Okay. I'm joining David and Ben talking tonight about the West Klosterman preservation that we're trying to achieve with you folks. But first I wanted to take a moment and put a part of my 3 minutes just to recognize the fact that Kay and I moved here to be close to our 4 grandchildren who are at your mercy, okay? And we are definitely interested in seeing results like what Principal Savage and her team showed us tonight, what you guys showed us when you showed us the recognition of the various programs that are out there, where people really are achieving great things in education today, far greater than when I went to school a number of years ago. I'd also say that you've also heard tonight some of the challenges for districts that are underperforming, people who are under threat, okay? And so while you can achieve great things, you can't ever give up on making sure that it's all there for everybody so that we can all exceed the expectations that we had for ourselves before. We want to see our kids exceed those expectations going forward. So I just want to take a minute out and really encourage you guys to keep it up. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your achievements. And don't forget, okay, there's still more to do. With respect to the West Klosterman Preserve, I got a call just before I headed down here this evening, and I was told that I needed to represent about 320 people who sent you a letter today, okay? And the letter was from the Community Association, where they specifically asked this: we'd like you to just hold up on the sale, okay? The workshop that you had last week, or 2 weeks ago, discussed terms of the sale, terms of the offers that were there, and it was really a development proposal situation where developers were going to come in, probably, I've built projects before. They're going to clear the trees, they're going to level the ground, the animals are going to be relocated if they can find them, they're going to be pushed out if they're not. The site itself will just change into a apartment building, okay, or several apartment buildings. We'd like to ask you to stop that. The neighbors over the last 3 weeks learned that this piece of property was for sale. None of the neighbors that I have talked to, and I've talked to a couple of hundred now, none of them knew that this was up in process until 3 weeks ago. So it was a surprise to the neighbors and a surprise to the neighborhoods, and even the association presidents and all the officials in the local area. It was a surprise to them. What we believe is that these folks, there's a lot of creativity out there, there's a lot of experience out there, there's some seasoned, that means old people like me, okay, who can come up with good ideas, and David alluded to that a little bit earlier. There are some things that we can do to help the school board achieve its goals around finance and around preservation, and help us achieve the goal of preserving our neighborhood for posterity, for the good of the earth. And now my bell went off. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Beatrice Farrell and Broderick Husser.
Good evening, fellow citizens, school board members, and Dr. Greco and staff assembled. I would like to speak to you regarding the historic building at Melrose Elementary School in St. Petersburg, Florida. In November 2019, I requested and received via a public information request a copy of the contract from Exhibit Design, including a scope of work for the building at 1801 Melrose Avenue South. There is mounting concern regarding the plans for this building in the community. When is the school board planning to share the plans regarding this building? Reviewing the scope of work from Exhibit Design, there are two deadlines. Well, one has passed and one is due March 1st, and none of the things exhibited on here have been done. Now, this is an unsigned contract that I received, so perhaps they were done without it, but I will just note one of the things that it says is meet with stakeholders to understand their shared history. I'm here representing the Deuces Live, which is a historic Main Street on 22nd Street South, which is 4 blocks over from this school, and our organization has received nothing regarding this. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Broderick Husser. Sorry I had to run out of the room a second ago, but kind of, you know, things are getting pretty busy in our county, and I just learned that a friend of mine was just hit by a car as I was sitting here, and they're going to be okay, but I hope. They got banged up, but so that's why I had to run out. So my name is Broderick Husser. I speak in opposition of developing the Klosterman Wooded School property. My property shares a 251-foot border with the school property. I moved in 25 years ago and have much knowledge of the trees, animals, plants that thrive within the school's property. For instance, last Sunday, I stood in my driveway and watched 3 adult bald eagles squawk on the school property pine trees next to my driveway. They were upset over an osprey that was taunting them. The school property contains the first row of pine trees east of the Gulf of Mexico, 900 feet away. The osprey needs to eat their fish high in the pine trees. Over the weekend, I spotted a black-striped bobcat on the edge of my property. And I've been seeing these things for 25 years because I live right next to it. In the meantime, a gopher tortoise had crawled out of the brush to chew on some of my prickly pear weeds. This is a typical day in the school property location right now. If you went there tonight, there's flying squirrels in the trees that squeak. It's really a wonderful place, and the thought of it getting mowed over, to me, is pretty sickening, especially with the way that everything is getting destroyed. So the one thing about the school assessment, or the county assessment where it scored low, my question is, how did this location score low is a mystery to me. There's a freshwater pond fed by a spring located on this property that was not even recorded in the county's assessment of the land. It was checked, no water. And we have otters that have babies in that pond every year. I contend the assessment was in broad error, and a new assessment needs to be conducted. One that somebody really opens their eyes, does a good job, doesn't just walk down through there and check off doing a partially good job. It's so important that we need to have the best guy out there really do a thorough job. Also, there are many large and very old live oaks throughout the property which are irreplaceable and should be preserved, especially considering how much our planet is now suffering from overdevelopment. Do we really need to develop this property against the pleas of all these citizens to leave a bit of untouched nature in our town? After all, shouldn't we be interested in the health of our citizens that already live in this community? Wouldn't it be better to have woods or a bunch of condos? Will you work with us as we plead and beg for your help in saving this property from development? I will say that I'm emotionally attached to the woods within this property. I have a great love of the outdoors. Okay, thank you.
Our final two speakers this evening are Don Richter and Dawn Dooley.
Hello, good evening. My name is Don Richter. Thank you for allowing me to address you today. I addressed the board 2 weeks ago at the Largo meeting, Klosterman Road property. Once again, just wanted to put two things into perspective. 14 acres, 14 acres. I don't know if it's square or not, but if it was square, it would be nearly 3 football lanes. Each side would be nearly 3 football lanes. It's a big area. Also, the homeowners groups that are being represented here tonight probably represent over 1,000 households. So it's not just 1 or 2 or 3 of us. It's the whole area that it's not going to be a good fit. It's on a dead end. Mr. Herbig, I think, spoke when he was addressing other projects that were being done about traffic concerns, safety and security concerns. Well, these are all concerns that we have in our area. It's a dead end. Where's this traffic going to go? Where is it going to come from? Well, we know where it's going to come from. Right now, it's zoned for I think like 2.5 houses per acre. The Hemmer Consultants that has the highest bid in it for right now is looking to rezone it for 7.5 units per acre, which would be do the math, nearly 100 units. And it's been shared that it will probably be leveled, sparing probably nothing, and all these condominium-style houses or buildings would be built. So the question was asked by Board Member Lentino, where are the animals going to go? Where are they going to go? There's some gopher turtles. There's about 10 gopher turtles on site that will be relocated because that's mandated by law. The other ones will just be pushed out. I saw juvenile bald eagle up there just a couple days ago. I took a picture of it. So these are all concerns we have. We just humbly ask you to just. It's your property. You can do what you want with it. We recognize that. But as the previous speaker shared, just work with us, push the pause button for a couple of months, allow us to pursue different options of funding and various things. These things don't happen overnight. So with the 30 seconds left, are there any comments or questions?
We don't engage in the conversation.
Okay.
This is your time to talk to us.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So that's all I have, though.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So
Very
just
good.
Request your consideration on this subject.
Good, thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Grego and our school board members. I appreciate the moments to talk today. My name is Dawn Dooley, and I am a guidance counselor at Distant Academy. I'm new to the school district this year. I served 21 years for the University of Alaska as the Associate Dean of Students prior to moving to Florida. This is my first year with Pinellas County and my first year at Distant Academy. I want to tell you that we have an amazing staff and amazing students there, and I'm very proud to work there. I want to speak to our leadership and the violations of school board policy and the violations that I have been subjected to in the time that I've been there. I've been subjected to bullying and harassment. I have been discriminated against due to my disability. I have been discriminated against on racial discrimination. I've been subjected to a hostile work environment, and I'm asking for your help for the students and staff of Distant Academy. I'm asking that other staff have also been subjected to many violations of school board policy as well by our administration. I'm asking that the school board and Dr. Grego please note that there are a lot of concerns by our staff, and many of them maybe feel fearful to come up here today, but I want you to know that all I'm asking for is for somebody to help us to make changes so that we can be a better school, to help our leadership to change the things that are not appropriate, and that we may be treated with dignity and respect. And I thank you for your time.
Good. Thank you. No other speakers? All righty. There are no other speakers, and so with that, we have our closing comment.
Thank you. Since this is the last meeting for in honor of Black History Month. Black History is every day, 365 days a year. We honor it this month, but it is every single day of the year. But I do have a wonderful quote that I think will be really good to close us out with on tonight. It says, "I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word." And that is by Dr. Martin Luther King. Good night.
Good. And thank you all for being here tonight. We do appreciate you coming and sharing your comments and concerns. Obviously, you saw people taking notes, so we will be addressing them. Thank you.
His comments were nice.
Mm-hmm.